Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And happy Salah to all of you. For those who don't know much about Cruising Borders, the travels of Kabiru Jammaje, we call it, in literature, we call it a travelogue. If you travel or if you make a journey and you write a story based on the journey, you call it a travelogue. So this is a travelogue. Or if you like, it contains short travelogues, because here we have stories of 12 countries that I had the privilege of visiting. If you lay your hands on the text, you will see the places that I visited, the people that I met, the challenges that I faced, etc. So before we swing into action, before we go into the main business, I'd like to give you some hints by contrasting Nigeria with the 12 countries regarding some issues. And I'm sure this short presentation is going to inspire many questions. I'm going to talk about the countries in order of their appearance in the book. Let me start with South Africa. In South Africa, there are 11 official languages. 11 official languages. How many official languages do we have in Nigeria? One, English. But in South Africa, there are 11 official languages. You know, South Africa is called the Rainbow Nation because of the multiplicity of cultures there, different cultures, different ethnicities, different races, religions, etc. That's why they target the Rainbow Nation. So in order to reflect that, they have 11 official languages. English, of course, is one of them. Afrikaans is one of them. Zulu is also one of them. And they have 3 capital cities. In Nigeria, we have Abuja only as the capital city. But in South Africa, they have 3 capital cities. But I dare say that the most important is Pretoria, because the president is there. And the legislature is in Cape Town. The judiciary is in Bloemfontein. We know these are the 3 arms of government. Let me quickly go to the second city, Harare. When I went to Harare, I discovered that different currencies of different countries could be spent there. I don't know, maybe the situation has changed. But in those days, you could spend the US dollar there in any shop, in any place, at any market. You could spend the South African rand. The currency of South Africa is called the rand. You could spend it there. You could spend the sterling pound. You could spend the yuan, the Chinese currency. But in Nigeria, or in Kano to be specific, we use the naira only. And then Robert Mugabe, the former president of Zimbabwe, I think he was forced to resign 2 years ago. At the end of 2017, he was forced to resign by the military. Robert Mugabe is still alive, more than 90 years old. But he has 7 degrees. 7 degrees. Yes, but I think he acquired some of the degrees through what we call distance learning. In fact, Robert Mugabe is considered to be the most educated African leader. Let's go to Nairobi. We don't have ample time. We all know that Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya. And Kenya is located in East Africa. In Nairobi, there is a large number of white people. If you go to the city, you'll see that there are white people in large numbers. If you go to Nairobi, especially if you are in England, because of the large number of white people there. And then Snake Park. In Nairobi, there is a place called Snake Park. I visited the place. It contains hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of snakes. Those of you who have been listening to Allah Degeri Bambang, I said this. And finally, Nollywood films are a representation of Nigerian society. Nollywood films are a true representation of Nigerian society to them. Those of you who have read the text know that I have mentioned a lady called Judy. I tried my best to show her that I came from a different part of Nigeria. Because you see, Nollywood films don't necessarily represent northern Nigeria. I told her that I am from northern Nigeria. So you can't use these films as a yardstick for measuring our culture, our activities, or practices, or norms and values. But she said, no, a Nigerian is a Nigerian. Seriously. And this is what gave me the impetus, the inspiration, the motivation to go into Kannywood with a view to producing English movies. And I mentioned the Hausa language. Most of them said they didn't know it, but they know the Yoruba language and the Igbo language. Because, you know, in Nollywood English films, references are made to the Igbo language and the Yoruba language. So they know them. But very few people know about the Hausa language. I asked many people, do you know about the Hausa language? And they said no. And you see in Nigeria, Hausa-speaking people far outnumber Igbo-speaking people or Yoruba-speaking people. But because of the films they watch, they know about Yoruba, they know about Igbo. Because films are very impactful. Ask those who have studied mass communication, they will tell you. So when I came back to Nigeria, Falalu Dorei was in my class then. I said to him, Falalu, we need to start making films in English in order to promote northern Nigerian culture. And he motivated me. I forged ahead with the encouragement I gained from Falalu. And our first movie you're all aware was There Is a Way. So there is a way, light and darkness, and this is the way. I know they do not fully represent our customs or norms and values. But our latest, In Search of the King, who has watched it here? Yes, it was at the cinema in December, In Search of the King. It's a true representation of northern Nigeria. And Alhamdulillah, now the film has been accepted by Africa Magic Epic. You see? Africa Magic Epic. There are different channels. We have Hausa channel, Yoruba channel, Igbo channel. We have Urban. There is a channel called Urban, showcasing etc, etc. But among them, the most watched station, the most watched channel is the Epic. This is the beginning of the revolution. Let me quickly go to Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, it was never colonized. Ethiopia was never colonized. I think it is the only country in Africa that was never colonized. Any country apart from Ethiopia in Africa was colonized. And if I ask you this question, you know that Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa, right? So let me ask you, which is the second most populous in Africa? Which is the second most populous country in Africa? Ethiopia. But many people don't know this. But it was invaded by Italy for just 5 years. I think during the Second World War, it was invaded a little bit for just 5 years. Ethiopians love English very passionately. Their official language and national language is Amharic. But I think they love English more than Amharic. You know, in Kano we have different schools, different centers of learning English. Likewise in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, there are different classes for learning English. A white lady called Susan White was here at Jammaje Academy some years ago. She taught English. She taught my students essay writing. And I had the privilege of meeting her there. She's still there teaching English. Okay, I will go to the country number 5, which is New Delhi. New Delhi is the capital of India. You know, India is a subcontinent. The population there is over 1 1.3 billion people. Over 1.3 billion people is the population of India. You all know the most populous country in the world is China. So the population of China is over 1.4 billion people. And the prediction is that by 2030, India is going to be the most populous country in the world. I think the population of New Delhi only, the capital city, is more than the population of Nigeria as a whole. Not to talk of Mumbai. You know, poverty is attached to India. Yes, especially when you watch their old films. But poverty, extreme poverty in India is now a thing of the past. Because they have a lot of industries, factories. So India is no longer the headquarters of world poverty. The Economist is a very well-known magazine that is published in England. Just the day before yesterday, the magazine predicted that by 2025, in 6 years' time, Nigeria will be the headquarters of the world poverty. Actually, you can read the report. Yeah. Yes, but we don't hope so. We don't hope so. But that's the prediction in just 6 years. Because of the unemployment rate, etc., etc. We should not go into politics. Finally, they admired my northern Nigerian cloth when I went to India. Yes, I didn't wear a cap, but they saw me with my dogoriga. Oh, not dogoriga, jumper. Yes, the short one. And they cherished the dress. Nearly every one of them. Because I saw some girls passing by and they gazed at me. And I asked a friend of mine, Ajay, I said to him, why are they looking? Why is everyone looking at me? He said, they love your dress. I said, okay. I didn't believe him. But when the two girls or three girls came to pass by, they were gazing at me. So I summoned some courage and asked them, why are you looking at me? Is something wrong with me? They said, we are looking at your dress, it's beautiful. Actually. And someone, a hotel manager there, asked me to give him one set, and I gave him. So if you want to go to India, dress like Bahaushe. They will admire you, they will cherish you. And they will respect you, they will accommodate you. They love that. The sixth country is Dar es Salaam. Dar es Salaam is the capital city of, it used to be the capital city of Tanzania, but it's the largest city. The capital city is now Dodoma. But Dar es Salaam used to be the capital city, and it is the most populous city. I want to talk about Julius Nyerere regarding Dar es Salaam, the pioneer president of Tanzania. He gained independence for Tanzania. First, he was the prime minister before he later became the president. And he embraced socialism. We know socialism is the opposite of capitalism. So he embraced socialism. The ruling party was CCM. It is still in existence. So under the platform of CCM, he became the president. And he was practicing socialism because China was his friend. He made China his friend. The economy of the country started deteriorating. The economy started collapsing. There was hunger, there was poverty, there was this and that. And members of the party, the key members of the party, CCM, approached him and said, Mr. Julius Nyerere, you see, under your watch, the country is collapsing economically. Why can't you adopt capitalism instead of socialism? And he said, no, I will never adopt capitalism. I will keep practicing socialism. They said, no, capitalism is better than socialism. And we are sure that if capitalism is adopted, the country will be moved forward. But he said, no, this is against my principles. And you know what he did? He resigned. He said to them, if you think that capitalism is going to be the model that will rescue the country, then no problem. I wish you good luck. You can have the country. He resigned voluntarily. Has this ever happened in Nigeria? It has never happened in Nigeria. He resigned in 1985. When they took the country from him, they adopted capitalism, and now the country, the economy started booming. It started flourishing. One important fact I would like to tell you is Julius Nyerere was in Kano. I think in 1970s or 80s, he was in Kano. I have a biography of Serikin Kano, Dr. Ado Bayero. In the book, there are different pictures. One of the pictures shows Julius Nyerere with Ado Bayero at the palace here in Kano. He's called Muallimu Julius Nyerere. And Julius Nyerere was a literary icon, was a scholar. Do you know why? He translated 2 Shakespearean plays into Swahili. Because Swahili and English are the official languages in Tanzania. In fact, Swahili is the most spoken language there in Tanzania and Kenya. So Julius Nyerere translated 2 Shakespearean plays. Even if you are a native speaker of English, you have to learn Shakespearean English for you to appreciate his plays. When we lay our hands on any play by William Shakespeare, we find it inaccessible, difficult to understand. Don't worry about that. Koba Tureni has to learn Shakespearean English for him to understand it. So Julius Nyerere translated 2 Shakespearean plays into Swahili. This means he was a scholar. How many writers do we have among the Nigerian presidents? How many? Shehu Shagari was a writer. And who? Obasanjo. And who else? Okay, quickly, Saudi Arabia. Nothing much to say about Saudi Arabia. The hotel windows cannot be opened. The hotel windows. You see a hotel and you see windows, but you can't open the windows. The glass is there, but we can't open because the rooms are massively air conditioned. And I'm sure this is a point of divergence between Nigeria and Saudi Arabia. And then they hardly switch off the engines of their buses. They hardly switch off the engines of their buses. I remember while we were in Medina, the bus that was to convey us to Mecca waited for more than 3 hours. For more than 3 hours with the engine switched on. And I think that the answer is very clear, that water is more expensive than oil in Saudi Arabia. I've been infected a little bit with this culture. Maybe it applies to their cars also. So finally, they still love poetry. We read in our Islamic studies class that Arabs, especially during the Jahiliyyah period, produced and read a lot of poetry. So they still love poetry. Because I was amazed when I tuned to a radio station and heard that poetry was being presented in English and Arabic, in Queen's English. Poetry. I said, wow, in Saudi Arabia, poetry in English and in Queen's English. So I came to the conclusion that, yes, these people still love poetry. Dubai, quickly, the Dubai Mall is 100 times bigger than a Dubai Mall. Even the book section, they call it the book world, is part of the mall, is bigger than a Dubai Mall. There are hundreds of overpasses and underpasses. Hundreds, if not thousands. How many underpasses and overpasses do we have in Kano? We have many of them. Yes? Yeah. But we love them, and we feel that Kano is different. It's different from other cities because of these underpasses and overpasses. And you can only cross the road at a zebra crossing. As a pedestrian, when you are walking, you can't cross the road unless you reach a zebra crossing. You know zebra crossing? Yes. Part of the road where you see white lines. That's where you are supposed to cross the road. So there you can't cross the road unless and until you arrive at a zebra crossing. Finally, there is a meter in every car, in every taxi, a meter that determines your fare. For example, if you take a taxi from Dandago to Bata, you see the meter there in the taxi, and the meter is telling you how much you are going to pay. 1 naira, 2 naira, 3 naira, 4 naira, until you reach Bata. So what you see on the meter is what you are going to pay. Let's go to Abidjan. Abidjan, the capital of Côte d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast. The French name is Côte d'Ivoire, but the English name is Ivory Coast. If you are driving, it's not necessary for you to fasten the seatbelt. It's not. As long as you are driving within the capital city. As a driver, you don't have to fasten the seatbelt. But the passenger beside you must. And nearly every secondary school student can speak English in Abidjan. Nearly every secondary school. You know, their medium of instruction there is French. It's a francophone country, but they speak English widely, more widely than we speak French here. In Abidjan, I saw Serkin Hausawa, but he was wearing jeans and a short-sleeved shirt. Yes, I approached him and paid homage. Negotiation is Serkin Hausawa. You see?